Episode 1. You bought the home. The developer kept the power. Your new developer-controlled HOA is betting on your apathy, and that's how they win. You just bought a brand new home, new construction, a brand new subdivision, fresh paint, clean streets, and tucked inside that mountain of closing paperwork, a brand new homeowners association, a new board run by homeowners looking out for the community. That's the promise on the sign, but that same stack holds the governing documents that will rule your life today and 20 years from now. Your CC&Rs, your bylaws, your rules and regulations. Together, they control what you can do with your own home, the dues you pay every month, and how your whole community is run. And you didn't read one word of them. Neither did your neighbors. Neither did the guy across the street. Half of California spends more time reading the menu at In-N-Out than reading what they just signed. Scribble here, initial there. Where's the next little sticky tab? Done. Right now, none of this is on your mind. You're thinking about the moving truck, the utility hookups, which bedroom is whose. You're starting a life. And that is exactly the moment it happens. Because while you're unpacking boxes, decisions are being made inside your new community. Quietly, legally, and entirely without you. Decisions that set the dues you'll pay for years. Decisions about what your neighborhood becomes. Decisions about defects in the community's common areas that could be caught and fixed today, or quietly buried and handed back to you later as a surprise bill with your name on it. And you're not worried because you assume someone else is, another homeowner, someone with the time you don't have. If there's a board, surely your neighbors are taking care of it, or worse, you believe that the management company will handle everything. So you don't go to the meetings, you don't get involved. Apathy. And today, that feels completely fine. But I promise you it changes. A few years down the road, when the bills land and the cracks show, apathy turns to anger. And when a homeowner moves from apathy to anger, there is exactly one person who profits: the attorneys. And trust me, they don't send thank you cards. Because here's the truth you can't see from inside the moving boxes. Right now, no one is handling this for you. You are a passenger, and the pilot is the developer. A developer with his own interests, not yours, setting the rules you'll live under for years. And he is not flying you somewhere nice. So let me tell you what nobody tells you at the signing table. For these first years, the builder controls that board. It isn't really your board yet. He picks who sits on it, and they don't even have to live there. His employee, his lawyer, his golf buddy, his own mother. And until turnover, there's very little you can do about it. So here's the real question. Why? Why does a builder who's still selling homes in your new development fight so hard to keep your board? Trust me, nobody fights this hard to keep control of an HOA because they enjoy HOA meetings. It's simple. Control the board and you control almost everything that matters. And the best part, for him, it all looks completely legitimate. There are meetings, there are minutes, there are motions, there are votes, the full costume of democracy. And that costume is the point. He's still selling homes, so the last thing he wants a prospective buyer to see is a neighborhood fighting its developer. He wants the brochure photo. Smiling neighbors, low dues, a happy board, and absolutely no public fight with the developer. What he doesn't mention is that the board isn't really working for you. It's working for him. You're outvoted before you've even figured out which trash day is yours. Oh, and he also picks the management company. And when that happens, you have to wonder, who does the management company really work for during the builder's control period? We'll talk about this one particular point in great length on my next episode. And the one state agency whose job is to watch all of this, it's relentless, tireless, never off the clock. For everyone, except the folks who just bought into a brand new subdivision with an HOA, which, by the way, is you. If you've just bought into a new development or you're about to, you need to see how this actually works. Because once you do, you can't unsee it. Quick but important point before we go further. I'm not talking about every home builder out there. Plenty of them put up houses with no HOA, no shared control, none of this. This series is about one specific world, what California calls subdivided lands. Brand new communities built with a homeowners association baked in from day one. So every time I say the developer, I don't mean the whole industry. I mean the builder of your HOA community. That's the corner we're living in. Stay with me. So let's talk about who's supposed to be protecting you. California does have a watchdog for all of this, the Department of Real Estate. And it's worth saying plainly what that agency actually is: a consumer protection agency. The whole job, the entire reason it exists, is protecting California consumers. On one side, it takes that seriously. Every year, it goes after thousands of real estate agents, the people who sell you the house, mishandle a check, fudge a disclosure, cut a single corner, and the DRE is on them. Fines, suspensions, licenses pulled, careers ended. Now, the new home developer. The legislature gave the DRE real power over him too. Power that doesn't vanish the day the last home sells, no matter what the agency likes to claim. And it simply doesn't use it. It's like buying a guard dog that only barks at the mailman. The DRE claims it's done the moment the last home sells. I disagree, and I'll show you exactly why. So on this entire half of its job, you've got a consumer protection agency that protects no consumers. Whatever the legislature had in mind when it created this thing, I'm fairly certain this wasn't it. The same agency that ends an agent's career over a clerical slip looks at a developer running an entire private government. A developer who won't hand over control when his own governing documents say he must, who ignores the very public report the state issued on his project, and 100 other obligations besides, and decides that one's just not worth getting up for, which leaves tens of thousands of new California homeowners trapped in what this really is: a corporate dictatorship dressed up as a friendly homeowner board, and leaves private California homeowners hiring their own attorneys out of their own pockets to do the job the legislature built the DRE to do. So how does a dictatorship hide inside something that sounds this cozy? To see it, you have to understand what an HOA actually is, because it is not what most people think. It is not a club. It is not a neighborly courtesy. There's no welcome basket. California courts treat your homeowners association like a government. They call it quasi-governmental, a private government with real authority over you and your home. And those papers you signed and never read, that's its constitution. Congratulations, you ratified a government you've never read, run by people you've never met. Your governing documents, the CC&Rs, the bylaws, the rules, sit on top of state law, the Davis-Stirling Act, which every association in California has to obey. Together, they decide what you can build, what color you can paint your own front door, what you can park in your own driveway. This is an entity that can fine you, bill you, and if you fall far enough behind on your dues, record a lien against your home, and, in the right circumstances, move to foreclose on it. But here's what the law actually intends, and it matters for everything coming next. That private government is supposed to exist for one group of people, not the builder who created it, not the management company you're secretly afraid of, the one you think holds all the power, when the truth is it holds almost none. No. It answers to one group and one group only. Its members, homeowners, you, period. Now here's the thing about all that power. It only runs in one direction. These governing documents protect you only if somebody actually enforces them. And that one little word is where the entire system lives or dies. If. A rule the builder is free to ignore isn't a rule. It's a suggestion with really nice formatting. A protection nobody enforces isn't a protection. It's words on a page you'll never read. So the only question that has ever really mattered in your community comes down to this: who makes sure these rules are followed? Who enforces them? Hold on to that question, because the answer is the exact place this whole comforting story falls apart. Because here's the part almost nobody realizes. That stack of governing documents didn't just come from the builder. It went to the state first. Before the developer could sell a single home, before one for sale sign hit the lawn, he had to hand them over to the Department of Real Estate. And the state actually reviewed them. Now, that review isn't an endorsement. The state's own report says so, in writing. It's not a recommendation. Just confirmation the documents clear the legal minimum, but that minimum is binding. Built into these documents are real, concrete protections for you: how your community has to be funded, how it has to be run, and how control is supposed to pass, step by step, from the developer to the people who actually live there. These are not suggestions. They are not feel-good lines in a sales brochure. They are binding commitments backed by state law, in force from the very day you got your keys. Before I tell you who's supposed to be enforcing all of this, you need to see how real these protections actually are. The state reviewed every one of them, stamped it, filed it, and then, by its own account, walked away. The department's own guide says its job ends once the developer sells the last lot, and that its authority runs only while the developer is still marketing. So once the last home sells, the state considers itself finished. But that's not what the legislature intended. The law keeps the state responsible as long as the developer still controls the community. And that control can outlast the final sale. And that gap is exactly where you end up. The home's all sold, the developer's still in control, and the one agency that was supposed to be watching already gone. Which is exactly what makes what comes next so infuriating. So if you're among the tens of thousands of Californians who will sign for a brand new home this year, here's the one truth nobody printed in the brochure. Picture the moment. Keys in hand, a welcome home sign, the whole family beaming. And a few feet away, smiling right back, stands the developer, holding a thick playbook stamped confidential. Now, your governing documents, the CC&Rs, the bylaws, the rules, the ones you initialed on every page and didn't read a word of, those are out in the open. You got a copy. But that playbook is a different animal. It isn't in your closing package because it isn't a document at all. It's his game plan, where he follows those governing documents to the letter and where he quietly bends them to suit himself for as long as he can get away with it. Every one of these developers writes his own. None of them will ever hand it to you. Now, in fairness, plenty of them play it completely straight. They follow their documents to the letter, hand control back right on schedule, and their playbook is about as sinister as a grocery list. If that's the developer you got, good for him, and even better for you. And the only reason the other kind can run his playbook at all, because nobody's checking. The DRE isn't watching. And you don't yet understand the game well enough to catch him. How he plays it and how much it can cost you is exactly what the rest of this series is about. You think you're buying a community. You are buying a beautifully manufactured legal fiction written by a man holding a rule book you'll never see. So what exactly is the fiction? Honestly, it's the comfortable story you tell yourself, feed up, absolutely certain that someone else is handling all of this, while the documents that would tell you the truth sit right there, unopened, gathering dust. And let's be honest about those documents. You made every excuse in the book not to read them. Too long, too boring, too much legal mumbo jumbo. So here's the part nobody warns you about. Call it the apathy trap. When they handed you that mountain of paper, they had you sign a receipt for the state's public report. And it didn't just say you got it, it said you received it and read it. So buried in that stack is your signature, your name, swearing you read every page. And you didn't read a single one. You didn't get tricked into this fiction, you signed off on it. And I know exactly what you'll do when this goes sideways, and it will. You'll swear up and down, I never got these. Nobody gave them to me. This isn't my fault. Somebody else dropped the ball. You'll work your neighbors, work the board, maybe even talk yourself into believing it. And then someone slides one piece of paper across the table. Your signature, received and read, in your own hand. So write this down. When you sign documents you didn't read, they are still yours. You own them. You signed it. You live with it. So let's look at what you actually signed off on, because that beautiful story rests on three comforting things you took completely on faith. One, that your community is run by a real board, a functioning, collaborative group sitting down at open meetings, making decisions out in the daylight for the good of everyone who lives there. Two, that the builder is handcuffed by that thick stack of documents you signed, that he has to play by the rules exactly like you do. And three, that you have a voice, a real say in your own neighborhood, one that only grows louder as more families move in around you. A fair board, a bound builder, a growing voice. 3 promises. Hold all 3 in your head for just a second. 3 comforting promises. And here's what they're counting on you never checking. For the first years of your community, not one of them holds up. Now, let me be fair. This isn't about cartoon villains. When an HOA community is brand new, with almost no owners yet, somebody has to be in charge. The builder running things at the start actually makes sense. It even has a name, declarant control. Here's the part they're counting on you not knowing. As the homes sell and families move in, control is supposed to pass to the homeowners. And eventually, within timeframes set by his own governing documents and state regulations, the builder loses legal control and has to turn the board over. But knowing the law and being forced to follow it are 2 very different things. And there's almost no one making sure that handover ever actually happens. If your builder steps aside when he's supposed to, good for him. But if he holds on long past when he should, then while he controls that board, the board works for him, not for you. A homeowner's board is supposed to protect homeowners. During declarant control, it protects the developer. Same board, opposite master. Next time, I'll show you how it works, why it's perfectly legal, and what you can do about it. Because knowledge is power. Apathy, you're about to find out. Subscribe and don't look away now. Next time, we break down declarant or developer control. Here's your first look. It plays out right here in California, but it's a national phenomenon built into brand new communities all across the country. It may be one of the most underreported legal mechanisms out there, at least to the homeowners it actually affects, and I believe one of the most seriously misused. But not for long. And that's what they don't want you to know about HOAs, finally told. Now, one important thing. I'm not an attorney, I don't pretend to be one, and honestly, I don't want to be. I'm just an informed homeowner, and everything in this video is meant to help you become one too. Because here's what the builder, the board he controls, and their management company are all counting on. That this is too complicated for anyone but a lawyer, so you'll never even try. I don't buy that. That's the whole idea behind California HOA Decoded. I take what they bury in the fine print and decode it so you can understand exactly what you signed. It's not legal advice, it's a push to go read the documents, ask the hard questions, and pay attention before you sign. So if you've got thoughts, whether you agree with me or you think I got something wrong, I genuinely want to hear them. Tell me in the comments below. And if this opened your eyes, do me a favor, like this video, hit subscribe, and share it with anyone about to buy into a brand new community. I'll see you in the next one.